guys, I'm back. So I'm finally posting this video because it has been forever. So this is going to be the books that I read in February. And before I start, full disclosure, there's only 4 of them. But that is because, first of all, I was super busy. I got my driver's license, was doing a bunch of stuff for school and theater and all that. And second of all, I had to start reading a book for school that was actually the worst book I've ever read in my entire life, which we will get to later. Sorry if it's a book any of y'all like. But anyway, there's not very many on this list, but I do have a list for y'all. So here we go. Okay, so the first book I read, this was the beginning of February. We have The Summer We Forgot by Caroline George. This book I gave 4 stars, and actually I really liked it. I got this from Half Price Books. It was just one that I found that like looked pretty good, but I didn't really know anything about it. And I started reading it at the beginning of February because one of my friends was like, oh, you should read that. And it was actually so good. It took me a while to read, mainly just because I was busy, but there were some parts that were really slow in it. But once it got to the end, like probably I would say like the last fourth, I finished like the whole thing super fast because the end was really fast paced. And like how everything ended, I really liked. This book was kind of like a mystery, but it was also very like summery, as you could probably guess from the title. So if you're like on vacation or something and you want to read a mystery, I feel like this is perfect because it's not like scary, but it was very much like kept me on edge the whole time. So I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, 4 stars, and I definitely recommend it for during the summertime. Okay, so the next book I actually don't have because I borrowed it from my school library. I only read it because we were doing this challenge thing at my library and I was trying to get all the books that were like part of the challenge. But this one was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I gave this book 3 stars. It was okay, like, I mean, that's what 3 stars is. The storyline was actually like fairly good and the book was super short. The only thing I didn't like about it is the main character was really cringy. I mean, some of y'all might like it. I guess it just depends on your personality and what kind of main characters you like. But she was very like introverted and the storyline was about her like going off to college, and there were just parts she would like say things and do things that I was like, please stop. So, I mean, if the main character had a different personality and didn't act so weird in some of the scenes, I definitely would have liked it a lot more, but because of like the secondhand embarrassment, I had to give it only 3 stars. But if you do want a graphic novel, because it was a graphic novel to read that will only take you like 45 minutes to an hour, I definitely recommend it because it was short and it was interesting enough to read the whole thing. Okay, so now for the book that I had to read for school. This was my 3rd book that I read in February and the worst book I've read all year. I know I'm gonna make some people mad by saying this, but that was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is my school copy, so it has like a sticker thing on it. I'm sorry to anyone that is a fan of this book. And mainly I'm mad at all the people who told me that I was gonna love this because they lied. I don't know if it was just because I had to read it for school or because I already knew like part of the plot and like what happened, but every time I tried to read this book, I would fall asleep. Like specifically one time I was at a babysitting job and the kid had fallen asleep because it was really late at night, and so I was like, oh, I'll read my Hobbit book that I have to read for school. Read about 2 pages and started falling asleep, and so I had to stop reading it because I was like, I can't fall asleep while I'm supposed to be babysitting. So if you need something to help you fall asleep, definitely recommend The Hobbit. The storyline itself is not that bad. It's just that like the story will be happening and then there has to be so much detail about random things for no reason. Like maybe if that's what you like, but I am not the person who wants to listen to a tree be described for 30 minutes. So because of that, I only gave it 2 stars. And also there were weird parts in the book when they would like start singing or chanting and it was like written like a song. I would just skip over it because I was like, I'm singing the song in my head, and it was weird. One of my friends, since we had to read it for school, she listened to an audiobook version and apparently the guy started singing every time it got to one of those. And I'm glad I didn't listen to the audiobook because I probably would have started laughing. But I mean, at least it would have kept me awake like this book did not. Okay, last but not least, we have the 4th book that I read in February, and this one was my favorite one. It's If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This was the one that I randomly drew doing my blind date with a book thing that I posted back in February. And so I ended up having to read it because of that, and I'm so glad that I did because it probably would have sat on my shelf for a long time if I didn't do that thing. because I had other books that I wanted to read before it, but I actually really liked this one. I gave it 4 stars, not 5, because it wasn't my favorite, but I did enjoy the storyline a lot, especially in the second half. The like mystery and all of the drama got like really intense, and I really liked that part. The only reason I gave it 4 stars and not 5 is because, in this book, it's 7 kids, and they're all at like a school of the arts, and the main characters, they do theater, and they're studying Shakespeare. Well, I do theater. I know quite a bit about Shakespeare, but not a lot. And there were a lot of references to Shakespeare in this book that either I didn't get or were like really confusing. And it made some of it kind of hard to read because the book was very like melodramatic. And then they'd randomly start like quoting Shakespeare, and I had to be like, hold on. So references I didn't get. And then second of all, there would be entire pages of them like quoting their like play that they were doing. But it was just pages of like Shakespearean words. And I would read them, but it kind of took me out of the story because the rest of the time they'd be talking like normal everyday English like we talk now, and then they'd just randomly be like, wherefore art thou, and like start talking like that, and I was like, it just took me out of the story a little bit. But if it didn't have all of the Shakespeare quotes, I feel like it would have been a lot better. I understand how they like tied into the storyline, but I don't think they were all that necessary. But yeah, I gave this book 4 stars. If you really like Shakespeare, I 100% recommend this. Or if you like theater and you know a lot about Shakespeare, where I do theater and so I know quite a bit, it was really good. So definitely recommend to those people. Or if you like dramatic mysteries, this was also really good. So yeah, 4 stars, my favorite book of the month, and that is all. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe and come back to watch my other videos.